Hello everyone and welcome to the final Bachata Rockstar video card review for Knights of the Frozen Throne. We're going to do every single goddamn card, top to bottom, lowest mana cost, highest mana cost. Not going to do it class by class or anything like that. We're just going to go. I'm going to try to limit myself to 30 seconds a card. There's 135 cards, so this will still be a long video, but I'm trying to keep it shorter because all of my videos have gotten progressively longer as I've made them. To be fair, there's been a lot of cards, so let's go. Snowflipper Penguin, bam! It's a beast. It's a 0 mana 1/1. There's potential buffs to Deathstalker ROCKSTAR and to Shadowkeeper Edwin, some refreshing stuff like that. But aside from that, it's not going to see play. It's a wisp. See you later. Boom, Wretched Tiller, 1 mana 1/1. Whenever this minion attacks, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. If you could somehow buff this card and keep it alive, it'd be a very good aggro card, but it's a 1 mana 1/1, and Blizzard was scared because of Leper Gnomes and Abusive Sergeants in the past. So, yeah, they made this card really weak, and you're probably never going to play it. Sanguine Reveler, 1 mana 1/1, Battlecry, destroy a friendly minion and gain +2/+2. Seems really good in a zoo deck, seems really good in some sort of egg deck where you can play an egg and then kill it and eat it. It's fine for eating loot hoarders, it's fine for eating like I said, runic eggs, stuff like that. But unfortunately they didn't print very many egg-related cards that like really want to die. And a lot of them have the, if this is destroyed on your opponent's turn, gain a ghoul, gain a thing. And so this card becomes significantly weaker, and you're pretty much going to have to use it with cards that are already in the set. So honestly, I don't think this will see play. But, neat card, I think it could see play in future expansions. 1 mana 1/1, Righteous Protector, Taunt and Divine Shield for Paladin. This is a slight nerf to Stonehill Defender. It's a very good card for an aggro paladin. It's very good with resurrect effects. You effectively would have to swing into this 4 times to kill it if it got resurrected or redemptioned, as it is in Paladin. But overall, I think it's a good card, and I think it'll actually slot in really nicely to most Paladin decks. So I think it will see a lot of play. Deadscale Knight, 1 mana 1/1, Murloc with Lifesteal. So the fact that it's a Murloc means it can come up in Murloc decks. Maybe it has some potential in there. But Murlocs are really about your face, not their own face. So, I don't know. I guess if it hits a buff, it'll be pretty good. Rockpool Hunter hits this, that's pretty good. So it's just another nice, cheap Murloc 1-drop. I don't know, probably won't see play. Animated Berserker, 1 mana 1/3 warrior card. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to it. It'll see some play in the Enraged style decks. The stat line is actually really strong, so it'll probably live a couple of turns, and so you'll be able to get this effect off a couple of times. Really good with Acolyte of Pain. Pretty good with other Enraged mechanics, but there actually wasn't that many Enraged mechanics that are actually good printed. So honestly, I don't feel like the Enraged deck will actually be that good. I think Garrosh's Death Knight is strong in and of itself, but the Enraged hero power is pretty bad. So honestly, I don't think this deck will actually be that good or that viable. Icarus Veteran. 1 mana 2/1, Battlecry, give a friendly minion +1 attack. It's Abusive Sergeant with a buff that stays, and it's really aggressive. And I think actually quite good. You know, yeah, it dies to pings, but I mean, there's a lot of things that dies to pings. And if your opponent is spending 2 mana to kill a 1 mana thing, you're ahead. I like this card. I like this card a lot, and I actually think it will see a significant amount of play, even though it seems relatively innocent. Play Dead. 1 mana Hunter card, trigger friendly minions Death Rattle. So I love the effect. I think it's quite strong. I think there actually are quite a few strong Death Rattles in the game. But like I said before with the Sanguine Reveler, there's a lot of them that are triggered on your opponent's turn, and so then this card doesn't become quite as good. And a lot of times it's sitting in your hand and you're just holding it until you can get Savannah Highmane and then get his effect, or You know, sometimes you're playing it on a rat pack and you're getting like 2/1/1s. Like, that's not really worth it. And while I like this card and I like the redundancy and I like it in conjunction with a lot of the other cards, and I like the idea of a Death Rattle Hunter, and I've played Death Rattle Hunters and they've been okay. They've been like tier 3. I don't know if this card really pushes the envelope enough to make the Death Rattle Hunter like legit. Doomerang! Love this card. 1 mana, throw your weapon at a minion, it deals its damage, then returns to your hand. So there's so many great applications for this card. 1, it can kill a minion with your last strike, but you don't have to take face damage. 2, you get the value of the weapon back because it goes back into your hand, and you can immediately play it again. 3, it doesn't count as a swing, so you can put it back into your hand and swing again, effectively giving you 2 attacks in a turn. And then 4, you can keep replaying your best weapons over and over and over again. That's so cool. Now, granted, it takes a card, but what you're effectively doing is playing a card and then replacing that card with a weapon. So you're effectively just cycling this card to get the same weapon back, and you're also dealing the weapon's attack damage with this card. It's so cool. Now, I don't think it works with your hero power. I really, that would be weird. You know, just, I have a Wicked Dagger in my hand. So I think you need to actually equip another weapon. But there's actually quite a few weapons now in Rogue that this would work with, and I think would be really good with. So, Doomerang, thumbs up, love the card. Breath of Sindragosa, 1 mana, mage spell, deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion, and freeze it. The random effect, I think, is really bad, especially because it's attached to a freeze effect. And so, dealing 2 damage randomly, fine. And especially in the early game, no big deal. But the late game applications of this card are kind of poor. And I honestly don't think it's that powerful enough to see play. If this was a Shaman card, it would see a lot of play because this would really help in free Shaman. But it's a mage. There's not that many free synergies. I mean, there are free synergies. I just don't think this is strong enough to see a significant amount of play. Tuskar Fisherman, 2 mana, 2/3, Battle Cry, give a friendly minion spell damage +1. Finally, they're not that afraid to give things spell damage. So, the nice part about this card is it is properly statted, and it has a bonus. This will be great in Arena. This will be, maybe we'll see play in burn-style decks that want to have a legitimate minion on the board as well. So, I don't know. I could see applications. Will it see a significant amount of play? No, it's probably not meta finding. It's probably just an Arena card, but I wouldn't sleep on it. Same thing with this card, Tainted Zealot. 2 mana, 1/1, and it's Zealot, not Zetalot. 2 mana, 1/1, Divine Shield, spell damage +1. So the fact that it's a 1/1 does make it relatively weak, but the fact that it's Divine Shield does make it relatively durable. And it has spell damage, and so it's cheap, and you can just throw it out there and get the extra spell damage. And much like Blood Mage Thalnos, but the problem with this card doesn't cycle itself like Blood Mage Thalnos does. So that's why Blood Mage Thalnos was so strong. Yes, it's a 1/1, but you got spell damage and cycle. That's good. Here you get spell damage and Divine Shield. So when this dies, it dies and it's gone. But the Divine Shield does give it a little bit more survivability. So I don't know. Will it see play? It might. I think the Tuskar Fisherman and the Tainted Zealot serve very similar purposes. And so basically whichever one is more fitting of your deck is the one that's going to see play. And it's quite possible none of them will see play. Shadow Ascendant, 2 mana, 2/2. At the end of your turn, give another random minion +1/+1. Strong card, nice for early game tempo. Really great if you have an Earthshire Cleric out on the board. Really great if you have other 1-drops. Good for an aggressive priest deck. Yeah, I like it. Prince Keliseth, 2 mana, 2/2, neutral legendary, battle cry. If your deck has no 2-cost cards, give all minions in your deck +1/+1. I want to play 2-cost cards. They're the linchpin of every deck, and not having them makes my deck significantly weaker, even if I do get this guy, even if I do draw this card, and even if I do give +1/+1 to all of my dudes. So I think this card sucks, but I do think it is the most playable out of all the princes. Ice Walker, 2 mana, 1/3, Mage, Elemental. 3 hero power also freezes the target. I think this card can be powerful if it lives, but it is significantly understated for a 2-drop. It only has 3 health. It's probably going to die, and you're only going to get off 1 shot. Now, obviously, freezing something is relatively strong, and dealing 1 damage to it is relatively strong. I would value that at about 2 mana. This card needs to live to see any significant value, and I just don't think it's going to live that long. It is an elemental, so maybe that helps your elemental synergy. But I don't know, make this a 1/4? Now we're talking. Maybe even a 2/4. Well, obviously a 2 mana 2/4 is too strong, but you know what I'm saying. Maybe up the mana cost too. Gnome-Feratu. 2 mana, 2/3, Warlock card, battle cry, remove the top card of your opponent's deck. This card is not as impactful as people think. It is basically a River Crocolisk. Yes, you could remove their Alexstrasza, but the likelihood of that happening is approximately 1 out of however many cards are left in your opponent's deck. 25, 26, depending upon whether they went first or second. So, yeah. However, this card is quite powerful in the late game. When you already know, hey, my opponent's only got 4 or 5 cards left, there's actually a good chance I can get rid of their Alexstrasza or something like that if they haven't played it yet. So basically, this card could potentially counter cards in the late game combos that haven't pulled off yet. But if you made it that far, it's probably not that good. So, yeah. Fallen Sun Cleric, 2 mana, 2/1, battle cry, give a friendly minion +1/+1. Alright. So it has slightly less stats than a Shattered Sun Cleric, but it has 2 mana, so it makes it significantly more flexible. It has 1 health, so it is going to die to pings and shit. But this is a nice replacement for Lance Carrier, and it's weird to say that because I actually really like Lance Carrier and played in a significant number of decks because it doubled up on the Abusive Sergeant effect. And I don't know. This card seems weak, but it doesn't seem bad. I feel like there's a lot of applications where this card could actually be pretty good, much like the other card, the 1 mana 2/1 Achilles something. I could see an aggro deck playing this card. I could see maybe like a Murloc deck playing this card. Obviously it wouldn't be a replacement for Rockpool Hunter, but it would be in conjunction with Rockpool Hunter. I don't know. Maybe there's an aggro Murloc deck out there that this card could slot into. Druid of the Swarm, 2 mana, 1/2, choose 1, transform into a 1/2 with Poisonous or a 1/5 with Taunt. Both of those choices are pretty good. The Poisonous Spider has to be dealt with before your opponent can play any minions, so it actually creates a lot of board tension. Your opponent is sitting there going, well, which thing do I want to die? Or your opponent is going, well, fuck, how do I remove this? And so whenever you play the Spider, it creates awkwardness in his turn. It makes him play weird and play inefficiently because he has to get rid of that before he wants to play anything. Much like Mage Secrets, they force you to do things weird. They force you to do things that you wouldn't necessarily want to do. You end up not making the best play for yourself, and that's the real power. That's sort of the hidden power of things like that. Then, of course, you get the 1/5 with Taunt, which is overstated for a 2-drop, and nice defensive tool. So being able to choose one on this card is sort of what makes it powerful, even if both things that you get to choose don't have more than 1 attack. but they are both beasts, so they do get buffed with Marka Yasharaj. And I think it's a good card. I think it could see play, but I could also see it seeing no play. You know, it's a good card. I don't know if it's strong enough. Burlock, Battlecry. 2 mana, 2/2. Battlecry frees an enemy. Shaman card, Murloc. Another great addition to Murloc decks. Good addition to freeze decks. Will probably see a lot of play. It's a good effect, and having redundancy in freeze effects is something that a Shaman will probably want if the freeze deck goes off. But even if it doesn't, having a 2/2 Murloc that freezes something is pretty strong in a Murloc deck. So I think there's multiple applications for this card, and I can see it seeing play. I just question whether either one of those decks is going to be any good or actually viable. Venom Strike Trap, 2 mana, Hunter Spell, Hunter Trap. Secret, when one of your minions is attacked, summon a 2/3 Poisonous Cobra. So this is kind of nice. It gives you a little bit of removal. It gets you a little bit ahead on tempo, right? Because you're getting a 3-cost card or 2. Unlike a Noble Sacrifice, though, it doesn't like jump in front of the minion and kill it. It just gives you a Cobra. I think this is a little bit weaker, though, than something like a Cat Trick, because Cat Trick, your dude has stealth, so then you can choose where to direct it. Venom Strike Trap, once it's set off, your opponent can then decide what they want to trade into the Cobra. So the likelihood of you killing something of significance is relatively low. But what it does do is if your opponent like makes their attacks in a weird way, or in a like if they go face and then they trade and then they're like out of attacks and then you have a Cobra and then they're like, oh fuck, what do I do? You know, then they have to waste removal on it, things like that. Ultimately, I don't think this card is very strong, but it's really nice to have within the Hunter pool of secrets, because Professor Putricide can pull this out, and then when it's a real secret, then it becomes good. Toxic Arrow, 2 mana, Hunter Spell, deal 2 damage to a minion that survives, give it Poisonous. I think this card is really bad. 2 mana to deal 2 damage is weak. If it survives, give it Poisonous, so it's nice that you'll be able to use it on some of your own minions. But basically, you want to try to use this on like a 1/3 to try to trade in and kill a big thing. I guess I don't know. This is just such a weird effect. Yes, it doubles as removal too, but I don't know. I mean, this is not the Control Hunter card. If they're really pushing a Control Hunter, this is not the card. Spirit Lash. 2 mana, Lifesteal, deal 1 damage to all minions, Priest spell. Fantastic. Excellent spell. We'll see a ton of play. Will be a 2 of in almost every Priest deck. How could you not want this? You know, Priests have typically had trouble dealing 1 additional damage. This allows you to deal 1 additional damage. With all the cheap spell damage minions that we have now, this combos could deal 2 damage. Be fantastic, and then you get to heal 1 life for every damage this does. So potentially this could heal you 5, 6, 7, all the way up. You know, like, it's a good card. It's a really good card. It'll see ton of play. Roll the Bones. 2 mana, draw a card. If it has Death Rattle, cast this again. So appropriate that this card has the word roll in it, because you're literally trying to fucking high roll with this card. If you have mostly Death Rattle cards in your deck, this could be pretty good, and I'll definitely probably slot it into some sort of N'Zoth Death Rattle rogue, and it's nice that that deck has a card like this. We'll see. You know, Death Rattle rogues have traditionally really lacked card draw. They've been very nice on tempo, they've been pretty good on value, but they've lacked card draw and they've lacked face protection. So maybe this solves the card draw aspect that they needed. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I hope so, because I love that deck and I think it's fun, and I love Death Rattle Rogue, even though thematically it's stupid. Leeching Poison. 2 mana, give your weapon Lifesteal. I have since kind of come around on this card a little bit. Combining it with something like an Assassin's Blade, where you're getting a lot of attack that can then Doomerang, that you can then play it again, that's pretty good, actually. Like, I was surprised at how well it kept the rogue, just kept the rogue alive enough to, like, flip games and stuff. So I'm going to try it. I still don't think it's good. I think it will probably eventually see the cutting room floor, but I think this card is worth experimenting with and trying out. Ice Fishing, 2 mana, draw 2 Murlocs from your deck, Shaman spell. Good, solid, awesome. You know, if you're just trying to draw Burlocks, this is great. If you're trying to draw War Leaders, this is great. If you're trying to draw Finja, this is great. Like, it's good cards, smart, and you know what you're drawing. You're getting 2 draws for 2 mana, and they're specific cards, so you know what you're getting. Fantastic. I mean, just solid, good utility card. This is very much reminiscent of Forge of Souls, where you just draw 2 weapons. Like, because you know what you're drawing, that actually makes the draws better. Hey, speaking of Forge of Souls, draw 2 weapons from your deck. There you go. Same effect, same idea. Both really good cards. And in fact, weapons for a warrior deck are even better. Drain Soul. 2 mana, lifesteal, deal 2 damage to a minion. So this does get buffed by spell damage, so you could steal more life. But it's still a 2 mana, deal 2 damage. I still don't think it's that good. It's no Dark Bomb. Dark Bomb was 3 damage, which was so much better. Dealing damage is often more important than gaining life. So I still think it actually will see play, just because removal for Warlock is at a premium. And, you know, it's 2 damage. It's 2 mana, we'll take it, you know. Desperate Stand, 2 mana, Paladin card. Give a minion Death Rattle, return this to life with 1 health, so it is a targeted redemption. I think it's very good in Paladin in the sense that there's a ton of cards that you would love to just flip and get back. So, I think it is a good card. It is another buff card as well, so it does work for the Paladin quest. Yay! But I think it works more along the lines of some sort of N'Zothi Death Rattle kind of thing, where you want to double up on the Death Rattles, double up on the effect. Get your Tyrion back is, you know, a prime example. Things like that. Things like that. So I could see it seeing play in the right deck. I don't think the effect is that powerful because you're coming back with 1 health, but Paladin does have a lot of healing effects, so maybe it'll see play. Who knows? Maybe this will make the healing card for Paladin good too. Possible. Defile, one of the best cards in the set. Deal 1 damage to all minions. If any die, cast this again. So effectively, if you set it up properly, this can just wipe an entire board for 2 mana. Cool card. Really cool card. You know, but even if it doesn't wipe the entire board, it's still 2 mana, deal 1 damage to everything. And much like Priests, Warlock has always had trouble dealing 1 additional damage. So it's nice. Blizzard has recognized a lot of the drawbacks of certain classes and given them stuff to actually help with that. So, good direction. It's good thinking. Dead Man's Hand. Shuffle a copy of your hand into your deck. In theory, this card will allow you to go infinite. However, I feel like that is very slow. And I think the other problem is that you're very often going to be playing a lot of the cards in your hand. So you're going to want to play actually a very draw-heavy deck to get a lot of cards in your hand, to then shuffle a lot of those cards into your hand, to then draw them again with efficiency. So I think that's going to actually warp the way you want your deck to play and sort of the cards that you're going to want to put into it just to try to get this effect. Because if you play this card, aren't you playing for fatigue? Aren't you trying to out-fatigue your opponent? But why is your deck draw-heavy? So in actuality, I feel like this card is a little counterintuitive and kind of counter to what its goal is. So I actually think it will probably not see a lot of play. Dark Conviction. 2 mana Paladin card, set a minion's attack and health 3. So this is the Keeper Voldemort effect. This is the Sunkeeper Term effect, but it's a spell. and it can target things. And this also helps the Paladin quest. Paladin quest viable? Es posible. This is really good with the Righteous Defender on 1, and then play this on 2, and now you get a 3-mana Taunt Divine Shield minion. Ooh. Pretty good on Argent Squire, too. You are spending 2 cards, but you're getting a 4-drop on turn 2. Just saying. There's applications here. Plus, you know, takes down a big minion. It's a good card. I like it. Will it see play? Probably. I think it will. I think somebody will find a spot for it. Cryostasis. Give a minion +3/+3 and freeze it. Shaman card. Weird card. Fits into the Frozen synergy thing. I guess it's pretty good on Taunt minion. I don't know. I just think it's too weird and too clunky to see a lot of play, and I question the viability of the Frozen Shaman deck. Bring it on. 2-mana warrior card. Gain 10 armor. Reduce the cost of minions in your hand, minions in your opponent's hand by 2. I think this card is really neat. I think this card has a lot of thinking behind it. You have to figure out when to play it. You have to figure out when it's going to be good. Sometimes you just need in the beginning to save yourself from aggro, and if it makes their minions cheaper, so be it. Hopefully they've dumped their hand and they don't have a ton of impactful minions left. Maybe you play this in the late game when your opponent only has 1 or 2 cards and the likelihood of either one of those being minions is low. But even if you did reduce its cost, so what? Things like that. So there's situations where this card is good. There's situations where this card is bad. It's a lot of armor. It's a ton of armor. I think that cannot be dismissed. So I think this card will probably see play, but I think it's going to be very difficult to find the situations to play it in. Vryghoul, 3-mana, 3/1, Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, summon a 2/2 ghoul. Why opponent's turn? A 3-mana, 3/1 that Death Rattled, summon a 2/2. Should be worth 2 mana. It should be worth 3 mana. Like I don't understand the drawback. Like why that needs to be there. Why that needs to be a drawback. This card is garbage. I mean, it's a Death Rattle, great, but it's garbage. It's why would you play this? I think the other thing, the Shallow Gravedigger, is better than this card because then I get a full-on minion. This just gives me a 2/2. Shudder. Valkyr Soulclaimer, 3-mana, 1/4. Whenever this minion survives damage, summon 2/2 ghoul. So, yes, this combos with the dude, the animated berserker, that gives you 1 damage to your minions. Yes, it combos with the enrage effect, but you're only getting 2/2 ghouls. I don't think that's that strong. I don't think that's that impactful. Plus, this minion can just straight up die, and then all you get is a 2/2 for 3. I don't know. I don't like this card very much. Alright, bear with me here. Stitch Tracker, 3-mana, 2/2 hunter card. Battlecry, discover a copy of a minion in your deck. So, very powerful effect. Not a beast, though. So, this can get you beasts. The fact that you get to discover it is awesome. The fact that it comes from your deck is great because you know it's good and you know you put it there. You're getting a copy, you're not drawing it, so that's even better because then you could draw it again. So I think this card is really powerful. It's just slow. And I don't think it fits the hunter's desire to just go, 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 go. I think you're getting too few stats, and it's a good value card, but I question the viability of a control value hunter, especially considering how many good control value tools were given to the other classes that were already better at it. Shallow Gravedigger, 3-mana, 3/1, Death Rattle, add a random Death Rattle minion to your hand. So we've seen some very good Death Rattle minions, we've seen some very bad Death Rattle minions. which makes this card pretty bad. Better than the Vryghoul, but that's not saying much. That's like saying, hey, this sandwich shop I went to is better than Subway. Ooh, that's not necessarily a good thing. Prince Taldaram, 3 mana, 3/3. Battle cry. If your deck has no 3-cost card, transfer to a 3/3 copy of a minion. It's a legendary. It sucks. Sucks, sucks, sucks. Poop, poop, poop. Why would you play it? Why would you get rid of 3-cost cards just to get a cheaper faceless manipulator? It's not that good. It sucks. Plague Scientist, 3 mana, 2/3. Combo, give a friendly minion poisonous. I think this card is better than people think it is. I think people are sleeping on it. Yes, you need a minion out there, but the ability to give something poisonous that didn't originally have poisonous has a lot of applications and a lot of combos, i.e. maybe a wild Pyromancer wipes your entire board, and now Rogue has a legit crazy 2-card board clear combo. But just the ability to kind of trade up with cheap minions, with token minions. Maybe there's a token aggro zoo kind of rogue that this card would fit into perfectly. And you still get a 2/3 body out of it. Yeah, it costs 3 mana. Yeah, it combos. But maybe this is cheaper Vilespine Slayer. You know? Yeah, everybody's like, oh, Rogue already has good removal. Well, so what? That doesn't mean they don't want more. Rogue is supposed to be the best single target removal class. And this bad boy right here adds to that. So I think it's fantastic. I think it will see play. Mountainfire Armor, 3 mana, 4/3 warrior card. Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, gain 6 armor. So 6 armor is awesome. 3 mana, 4/3 is aggressively statted. The likelihood of them wanting to actually kill it is pretty high because it's going to keep smacking them for 4 in the face. It's a Death Rattle minion. It comes back with N'Zoth. Good card. Really good card. Will it see play? I don't know. I'll be honest. Everything about this card in a vacuum is good, but what warrior archetype does it fit into right now? Pirate warrior? No. Control warrior? Maybe, but is control warrior going to be viable? I don't know. I think so. Fingers crossed, you know. I don't know. It's just a good, solid card. It's one of those cards where, like, if it was a neutral, you would be like, oh, that's good. I would play that. And then you go about deck building, and then you're like, oh, fuck, I can't fit it in. So, I don't know. As good as I think it is, I don't know if it'll see play. Mindbreaker, 3 mana, 2/5. Hero powers are disabled. So when I originally reviewed this card, I forgot about the Death Knights. So I think in a fringe application where the Death Knights are really strong, playing this card will help you counter them. I could think it might see play in that sense. It's pretty well statted for a 3-drop. It's got a lot of booty to it, so there are fringe cases where I think this card is good, but I think in general it won't see play. Hildnir Frostrider, 3 mana, 4/4. Battlecry, freeze your other minions. So very good in a shaman freeze based thing, or maybe you have more Robbie out on the board already and you're getting like him back and everybody else back, and pretty good on a board with no minions, and you get a 3 mana 4/4, so that's not bad. But kind of sucky if you already have a board. It's weird because you would want to play this in an aggressive deck, but an aggressive deck should have the board, and then you're freezing your minions. Seems counterintuitive, right? It seems counterproductive. So, meh, I don't know. I think this card will probably just not see play. But neat card, neat design. Good in Arena, probably. Howling Commander, 3 mana, 2/2, Battlecry, draw a Divine Shield minion from your deck. So this is another in a long line of 3 mana, 2/2s that draw stuff. People have said, hey, just draw your Tyrion. And I go, that's great. It's nice to have, but it's not giving me extra Tyrions like a Stonehill Defender would. It's not drawing my Tyrion on turn 7. It's doing it on turn 3 when I don't really need it. My opponent knows I probably have a Tyrion in my hand now. So this card is less good the more I've thought about it. But just getting additional card draw is not terrible, especially if you got a bunch of Divine Shield minions, any number of which you would want to play. You know, maybe you don't play this immediately on turn 3. You know, this is not an on-curve play. Maybe this is something you play on 5, 6, 7. Try to get another Divine Shield minion out there and then play that immediately. And so then I could see it having value, because then you get a 2/2 body too. Not bad, especially if you hand buff this card. Maybe it's pretty good. You get a 3/3 or a 4/4. That draws you a minion. Might see play, but I could see it just not seeing play too. Howl Fiend. Ow! 3 mana, 3/6. Whenever this minion takes damage, discard a random card. It's Demon. It'll fit into Discard Lock. It'll be a strong part of Discard Lock. The problem is, though, you might have to discard way more cards than you want to. This is not a controllable discard effect. At least with the other discard effects, you knew, okay, I was only going to throw away 1 card or only throw away 2 cards. I might throw away 3 cards, 4 cards with this, and then my entire hand goes to shit, especially if I'm playing it on turn 3. But it's a really good body on turn 3. Hopefully you can control it in a way that allows you to only discard 2 cards on average. So I think with the stat boost and the average tossing of 2 cards, I think this actually works, and I think with the quest it'll be good. I just think the quest is poop, so I think Discard Lock is poop. Happy Ghoul, 3 mana, 3/3, cost 0 if your hero was healed this turn. Okay, so while this is a powerful effect, and it's nice that you get tempo from healing, you still have to do the healing. So maybe this helps you not have wasted priest turns on turn 2, which will allow you to put out a 3/3 body, which I think is really good now that I think about it. And this card will actually see a lot of play. Never mind. Changed my thoughts in mid-sentence. Drakari Enchanter, 3 mana, 1/5. Your end of turn effects trigger twice. End of turn effects are neat. They're often strong. It's going to be really hard to pair this card with an end of turn effect dude. It's going to be really hard to slot this card in because it's a 1/5. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't have a strong effect, and it costs 3 mana. I think ultimately this card will not see play, but I'm glad it's in the game because I think it does have a lot of applications to a lot of neat cards. Drakari Defender, 3 mana, 2/8, Taunt Overload, 3 Shaman card. Poop, 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 poop. Supposedly this is a Deathlord without the drawback, but I'm like, I wasn't playing a Deathlord because I thought the drawback was bad. I was playing it because I could slam it on turn 3 and drop shit behind it and protect it. This I slam on turn 3, I can't drop shit. And even if I do play it in the late game, it's a 2/8 in the late game with Taunt. Yes, that defends me, but it doesn't impact the board, and probably doesn't even give me a 1/1, and I'm paying 3 mana for it. This is no Earth Elemental. Yeah, this card is just bad. Doomed Apprentice. 3 mana, 3/2, your opponent's spells cost 1 more. Blizzard was scared that this card could be OP at 2 mana, and it would not be OP at 2 mana. Spells costing 1 more is not a huge deal. You trade a minion into this and it dies. You can backstab it for 1 mana and it dies. There's plenty of removal that this card... this card is only disrupting very niche turns where they might not even have the card you're trying to disrupt. Bad card. Not going to see play. Death Speaker. 3 mana, 2/4, Battle Cry. Give a friendly minion immune this turn. Something, something, something. Dark Side. I actually think this card is quite good. This is the Argent Protector effect, but instead of just Divine Shield, you get full-on fucking immunity, which is awesome. Now, a lot of people have said, well, Divine Shield stick around. Isn't that better? And I would argue, yes, but Divine Shields also get popped. This doesn't get popped at all. Plus, this is a neutral card, so now everybody gets an immunity Divine Shield style effect. Plus, immunity means your thing doesn't take damage at all for the whole turn. So maybe there's other effects. Maybe there's AoE effects. You can slap this on the thing, trade in. Maybe it hits a bloat bat or something like that. And then both your minions don't die. This thing becomes a 2/2, and then your other minion stays alive. So there you go. I think there's a ton of applications for this card. And honestly, I think it actually will see a fairly significant amount of play. If nothing else, it's going to wreck people in Arena. Crypt Lord, 3 mana, 1/6 taunt. After you summon a minion, gain +1 health. Very strong on curve, very weak off curve. I question its viability then. On turn 3, this card is awesome. It's a nice taunt wall. It's defending. Hopefully you can buff it with a Mark of the Lotus or something like that. But off curve, it kind of sucks. It's too easy to trade into, and yeah, maybe it'll heal you for 6, and that's all you really want it to do, but I don't know. I think people will play with it and ultimately figure out that it's actually not that good. Cold Wraith. 3 mana, 3/4. Battle cry. If an enemy is frozen, draw a card. This card is great. It's a 3 mana, 3/4 with upside. Will it see constructed play? Maybe not. Manic Soulcaster doesn't see that much constructed play. And that has a arguably better effect. Putting like a really good minion back into your deck. Better than a card draw? Nah, actually no. I think I'd just rather draw the card. Works really good with Breath of Sindragosa. Works really good with Glacial Shard. Really good with Frost Nova. Maybe instead of Frost Nova Doomsayer, it's Frost Nova Cold Wraith Doomsayer. I don't know. Things like that. There's combos. So I think it's a good card. I think it will see play. Bear Shark, 3 mana, 4/3. Can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. It's a beast. It's a bear. It's a shark. It's a hunter card. It sucks. Dies to Fiery War Axes. Dies to 3/2s trading into it. If it lives and gets Houndmastered, that's great. But other than that, kind of poopy. And it's also a 3-cost hunter card. There are way better cards that you would want to play than this. Acolyte Agony. 3 mana, 3/3, Lifesteal Priest card. All the things I said about Bear Shark apply to this card. It's got weak health. It dies to Fiery War Axe. There are better 3-cost cards for Priest that you would want to play aside from this card. Poop, 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 poop. Unwilling Sacrifice. 3 mana. Warlock card, choose a friendly minion, destroy it, and a random enemy minion. Poop, 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 poop. You're sacrificing this card, your minion, to destroy 1 of your opponent's cards. So you're 2-for-1ing yourself with this card. The only way this card is good is if you do it on a Loot Hoarder and you get your card back, and then you're 2-for-2ing yourself, which is not that bad. And it's a random minion. And it's not like Warlock doesn't have good removal. How about a Blast Crystal Potion? I think that's a little bit better. You get to target it. Just saying. Treachery. 3 mana, choose a friendly minion and give it to your opponent. Is it weird that I saw these cards put together and I was like, well, Unwilling Sacrifice is way better. And then I saw a lot of the cards produced in the set and I was like, Treachery is way better. There's so many neat combos now where Treachery helps you out, where, the Rattling Rascal, you play it, you get a 5/5, then you play Treachery, you send it to your opponent's side, you trade in your 5/5, you get another 5/5. Doomsayer works with this card, shit that has negative drawbacks that you'd want to give to your opponent. There's a surprising amount that Treachery could actually do. I'm not saying Treachery is going to see a ton of play, I'm not saying it's going to be in a good deck, but this actually has applications, and far more than Unwilling Sacrifice does. Simulacrum. 3 mana. Copy the lowest cost minion in your hand. I forgot to review this card when I initially did my reviews. So here's my full review of this card. Awesome. Love it. You can manipulate your hand in order to have expensive low-cost cards and copy them, or you can manipulate your hand to get 2 Sorcerer's Apprentices, or I don't know, 2 Kirintor Mages and play 2 Secrets. Whatever you want. This card has a ton of applications. Now, I realize you're paying 3 mana just to get a copy of a minion in your hand, but that also means you get the minion's battle cry, and you get 2 of them, and that's great. Maybe you want to copy your Antonidas twice, because your opponent might kill it. And I don't know, I'm just saying, there's 2 Alexstraszas, whatever. Like, it's up to you, and having a second copy of that is really strong. Just look at the Thief Death Knight. Hello? That was the whole point of that card. In Simulacrum, you're getting the Death Knight power on a minion, on a low-cost minion, in your hand for only 3 mana? When rogues have to pay 9? That's a good card. Nash. 3 mana, Druid card, give your hero +3 attack this turn and gain 3 armor. So, this is the baby of Claw and Bite. Nash. Yeah. Yeah. He's also a really terrible rapper. And guess what? This is a terrible card. We'll see 0 play. 0 play. Frozen Clone. 3 mana. Secret. After your opponent plays a minion, add 2 copies of it to your hand. I love this card. I think it's actually quite good. I think a lot of people have slept on this card. And the reason they slept on this card is because they go, well, it's just like Mirror Entity. I can just play around it. I'm like, sure. You can play around it. And then what do? You give me 2 babbling books. I get the battle cry from said babbling books. You throw me a loot hoarder. I get 2 loot hoarders. You would be shocked at how much more powerful super cheap little minions are when they go into your hand and you get to play them from hand. Your entity sucks because you only get the stats and the card effect. That's not a battle cry. Frozen Clone is great because you get the card into your hand. Yes, you have to spend mana for that card again, but it's just 2 additional resources that you didn't have before. That's good value. Imagine playing this on 3 and getting 2 2-drops into your hand and getting to play 2 2-drops on turn 4. That's good. This card is good. This card will see a lot of play. Shadowblade, 3 mana, 3/2, Battlecry, your hero is immune this turn. So, on the reveal stream, I actually saw more of the disadvantages of this card because you oftentimes were trying to save it to get the Battlecry. And then if you're saving this past turn 3 or turn 4, it becomes significantly less effective because it only swings for 3. Still a good card. Still neat. Very good with Doomerang. I think it will be good. I think it will slot into rogue decks. I just am not sure if it's going to be, like, really good. And I could easily see it seeing the cutting room floor. Icebreaker, 3 mana, 1/3. Shaman weapon, destroy any frozen minion damaged by this. Still poop. Poop, 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 poop. Frozen Shaman is poop. It will be poop. It may not forever be poop, but right now I think it's poop. I think it's no good, and this card sucks. Wicked Skeleton, 4 mana, 1/1. Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each minion that died this turn. Poop, 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 poop. Too hard to set this up. Too often you're getting a 4 mana 3/3 or a 4 mana 4/4. It'd have to be a 4 mana 5/5 to actually make it worth it. And then it's sitting in your hand and it's dead card for a long time. Poop, 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 poop. However, one caveat, very good with Cult Master. Very good with Unleash the Hounds. There are combos there. Still think this card is poop. Ticking A-Bomb, 4 mana 5/6, Death Rattle, deal 5 damage to your minions. It's a treachery target! And that's it. It's poop otherwise. Strong Shell Scavenger, 4 mana 2/3, Battle Cry, Bolster. Bolster sucks. Taunt Druid is worse than Taunt Warrior ever was. Taunt Warrior could have actually been viable if Bolster was still around. That would make fucking Taunt Warrior a tier 1 deck. Like tier 0 deck if it had Bolster. Holy crap. But I think Taunt Druid is not going to be good. I think it's not going to be a thing. Yes, there's a 9 mana Spreading Plague, Strong Shell, Scavenger combo, but I think that's a bad combo. Yay! I get a bunch of 3/7s. Alright. What else? And it's strong, but it's defensive. I don't know. Serenite excuse me, Serenite Chain Gang, 4 mana, taunt, battlecry, summon, 2/3, taunt, battlecry, summon a copy of this minion. Neat card. It's already a 1 mana more expensive, but actually 1 mana cheaper, Feral Spirits, which has seen a significant amount of play. If you want to play a defensive style token shaman, this is really good. Plus, it gets a 4/4 and another 4 mana and then another 4 mana card. It's very good with Evolve. Very good with hand buffs, right? You buff this up 2 or 3 times. Maybe get a 2/3/4s with taunt. Maybe get 2/4/5s with taunt. Fancy pantsy. I like it. I think it could see play, and it's potential that this will be a nice slotting into a hand buff paladin deck. Runeforge Hunter, 4 mana, 5/3. During your turn, your weapon doesn't lose durability. So, gives you an extra weapon swing. That's kind of nice. A 5/3 is pretty darn strong on turn 4. But 3 health is really bad. It dies to Fire War Axes, but it does trade up. So if your opponent can't deal with it, it does make his future turns awkward. That was actually the power of a Ethereal Conjurer, which is a 5 mana 6/3 that let you discover a spell. Yes, discovering a spell is very strong, but the 6/3 body had surprising applications because it was killing 6-drops. It was threatening 6-drops. And that's the thing about this card, is if your opponent doesn't have a Fiery War Axe, it's going to have to spend removal on this, or it's going to have to lose a minion. This card very often is going to trade 1 for 1, but then you get to keep your weapon durability. So that's like getting half a card. So, in a way, this card should almost always get you a half card advantage every time you play it. That's not bad. Is it going to see play? I don't know, but I don't think this card is as bad as people seem to think. Here's the Rattling Rascal. 4 mana 2/2, Battlecry, summon a 5/5 skeleton, Death Rattle, summon 1 for your opponent. Treachery! Play this, get your 5/5, Treachery this, kill it, get another 5/5. Thumbs up. This card might as well be a Warlock card as far as I'm concerned. Works very well at Silence Priest. I think this card will actually see a significant amount of play. It could eventually see the Cutting Room floor and just maybe not be good enough or too clunky or have fringe applications, but I don't know. There's potential. I think this card could be good. If nothing else, it's a nice turn 4 play, and it's a delayed effect on your skeleton. Because even if they kill this thing, they can't attack with it, right? So you're effectively giving them a 5/5 with freeze. Professor Putricide. Good news, everyone! He reminds me a lot of the Professor of Futurama. Professor Farnsworth and Professor Putricide on the same dude. Strong card. One of the best cards. Top 10 legendary that I rated in my legendary video, which you can check out on my YouTube channel, which hopefully you're doing right now. It's statted well. 4 mana 5/4s are strong. It's good enough in the health department. It's great in the attack department. It's aggressive. That's what hunters want. So 4 mana 5/4 is already just good enough. And this 4 mana 5/4 has an upside. Playing a secret gets you another secret. So your secrets become secret again. The dream is to play the Cloaked Huntress, hold on to your secrets, play this, and then Christmas tree it up. That is a little unrealistic to me. I think it's more realistic that you're just tempoing the fuck out, you play this guy, and then that gives you better options for secrets later on. I mean, it's just a solid card. Throw it in your deck, have a few secrets in your deck, go nuts. Prince Valinar, 4 mana 4/4. I'm not even going to read it. Poop, 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 poop. Insta-dust, insta-dust, insta-dust. Another one of those stupid princes. If your deck has no 4-cost cards, get Lifesteal and Taunt. That's not even that good. Phantom Freebooter, 4 mana 3/3. Battlecry gains stats equal to your weapons. So potentially this could be a really strong card. At worst, assuming you actually have a weapon, it's a 4 mana 4/4. At best, if you have some sort of Ashbringer style thing, this becomes an 8/6 for 4 mana, which is fucking ridiculous. So, I don't know. I can see it slotting into Pirate Warrior pretty easily. Even if you just have the Rusty Hook, it's a 4-6 for 4. Or 4-5 for 4. Pretty good. Would you play a Yeti in Pirate Warrior? Yeah, if it was a pirate. So I think it's pretty good. I think it actually will see play. Night Howler. Oh! 4 mana 3/4. Whenever this minion takes damage, gain +2 attack. So this is a Gurubashi Berserker effect on a really bad statted minion. Gurubashi Berserker was relatively good because it was a 5 mana 2/7. It had health. And then when it took 1 damage, it became a 5 mana 5/6, which at the time was overstated. This turns into a 5/3, which we've already said is bad. So even at its best, it's bad, which means it's bad. Meat Wagon, 4 mana 1/4. It's a mech. It's got a death rattle that summons a minion from your deck with less attack than this minion. I am totally making the Meat Wagon Validated Doomsayer deck. I don't know what class it's going to be. I'm probably going to try it in every class. I love this card. Do I think it's actually good? No. But it's meme-tastic. And I can't wait to crush somebody with a Meat Wagon combo. And it's a death rattle. Zoth synergy. Lillian Voss, 4 mana 4/5. Battlecry, replace spells in your hand with random spells. I think this card is significantly better than people think. It's already just a great on-curve play, which Rogue doesn't necessarily have that much. 4 mana 4/5. It's a Yeti. It's good enough. And then you're getting spells from your opponent's class, which are probably going to replace your little cheapy spells that you don't give a shit about. That's pretty good. Also, it lets you re-roll spells that you get from your opponent, right? If you're playing Swashbuckler and you're getting and you got a Shield Slam, well, Lillian Voss will let you flip it around, turn it into an execute that you can actually use. So, I think this card is good. I think it has applications, and it's a legendary, so you only need 1. I think it slots into a lot of Rogue decks, and not even necessarily a Rogue deck that is meant to burgle, or a Rogue deck that is meant to acquire cheap spells. Like, you don't have to build around this card. You can just play this card and let it high roll you new spells. Keening Banshee. 4 mana 5/5. Whenever you play a card, remove the top 3 cards of your deck. A 4 mana 4/5 is sort of normal stat line. So I'm getting 1 extra attack for a fairly shitty effect that might prevent me from playing cards. I don't know if that's good or not, but in an aggro deck, this will probably see play because who gives a shit about burning cards if you're an aggro deck? In an aggro deck, you care about the top 15 cards of your deck, and that's it. The other 15 cards might as well not even be there. So this might see play in one of those decks. Grim Necromancer, 4 mana 2/4. Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 skeletons. Well, Dragonling mechanic, eat your heart out. You're getting 3 bodies. That's good. Play this, Mark of the Lotus. Right, you get a 2/2, a 2/2, and a 3/5. That's pretty darn good. I think this card might actually see a pretty good amount of play in token decks. If you put Cryptlord down, and it's a 1/6, and then you play this, it becomes a 1/9. So that's significantly better than a Mogoshan Warden. I don't know. I think there's applications here. Maybe an Adult Grizzly with this card. Maybe that card finally sees play. I don't know. There's stuff. I don't think this card is as bad as people say, but it's a common card, and it's another one of those cards that's like good for a budget deck. Like, I can see it slotting in. It's not terrible. Grave Shambler, 4 mana 4/4. Elemental, whenever your weapon is destroyed, gain +1/+1. This card is terrible. Weirdly enough, could fit in an Elemental Rogue because you can just keep hero powering and keep buffing it. So you're actually getting a new dagger and a +1/+1 in this guy. Maybe there's something there. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not, though. Ghastly Conjurer, 4 mana 2/6. Mage card, Battlecry, add a mirror image spell to your hand. I wish the mirror image spell costed 0, but then I think this card would be OP. But it's a defensively statted minion. It gives you a card which also adds defensive capabilities. It's a cheap 1-mana spell, which is good with Antonidas. It's a spell that's not from your deck, so it's good for Quest Mage. I don't know if that deck needs a buff or not, but apparently it does. So, yeah. I think this card could definitely see play in Quest Mage, and I think it could be an okay card in a lot of other decks. Some sort of defensively oriented deck. Maybe. Bloodbath. 4-mana, 2/1 Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. It is a Consecration on a stick. Would this card be OP if it was a Battle Cry? Probably. I think it's overcosted as a Death Rattle, but I think it's undercosted as a Battle Cry. This is 5 mana Battle Cry. Be way better, but it's 4 mana and a Death Rattle, so I guess it works in the Death Rattle synergy. Get it back when N'Zoth. Wipe your opponent's board when you play N'Zoth later. There's thoughts there. There's things there. It's just so slow. Your opponent can make trades and play around it when it comes out. But it also does force them to play weirdly. Not a bad card. Might see play. Death Axe Punisher. 4-mana, 3/3 Battlecry. Give a random lifesteal minion in your hand +2/+2. Poop, 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 poop. Corpse Digger, 4-mana, 3/3, gain taunt if your deck has a taunt minion. Repeat for Divine Shield, Lifesteal, and Wind Fury. Wait a minute. This guy could buff this guy. This card's not poop anymore. If you get all that shit, this card is ridiculous value on turn 4. If you don't get the Wind Fury, it's still pretty darn good to have Divine Shield, Taunt, and Lifesteal. Coincidentally, probably making it better than Prince Valinar and not giving you any drawbacks, basically. So I think this card will see significant play. I think we'll see significant play in Paladin decks especially, but this could actually be pretty good in Secret. In Rogue. Rogue has a lot of trouble healing. Rogue has a lot of trouble taunting. This card can give it lifesteal and taunt. Maybe this is the healing card that Rogue needs to transition into the late game. Chillblade Champion. Brrr. 4-mana, 3/2 charge and lifesteal. Solid card. Gets better and better the more that I think about it. I think it actually will see a significant amount of play in Paladins. We'll definitely see play in hand buff decks. We'll definitely see play in regular buff decks. Decks that buff. Really good, surprisingly good with Desperate Stand. So think about this combo. 6 mana. You play this, you put Desperate Stand on it. It trades in for 3, heals you for 3, dies, revives, trades in again, heals you for 3, deals 3 damage. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Just saying. Arrogant Crusader, 4-mana, 5/2. If your opponent's turn, summon a 2/2 ghoul. Well, that's a shitload of attack for 4 mana, and you're most likely going to get the 2/2, so it disincentivizes your opponent for trading into it. But I think in the end, this is a bad card. I just don't think it does enough. It's a Death Rattle. Comes back when it's off? I don't know. Arphis. 4-mana, 2/2, Death Rattle, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. Death Knight cards are incredibly powerful. They are not 2 mana powerful, though, to where I'd want to pay 2 mana on turn 4 to get a 2/2, to get a Death Rattle, to get a Death Knight card, probably on turn 5 or 6. Not worth it. Too slow. Just not enough value in this card. Eternal Servitude. 4 mana, discover a friendly minion that died this game and summon it. I've already said I think this card is ridiculous. I think it's OP. It's a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best cards in the set. Playing this in a Death Rattle style priest deck, even just playing this in a easy, big easy priest, like, this card is insane. The card is great with Barnes. It's great with the 6-mana card that gives you 5/5. It's awesome. Just awesome, awesome, awesome. Really good card. Makes the whole deck work. Avalanche. Freeze a minion and deal 3 damage to adjacent ones. It's a Shaman card. It's pretty good, but Shaman already has Jade Lightning, and I don't think you're playing this over Jade Lightning. Are you playing this in conjunction with Jade Lightning? Maybe. Es posible. And you have spell damage totems. I don't know. It's not bad. I just don't think it's that good. I don't think it's going to see that much play. And I don't think it's one of those, oh, look, hey, free Shaman's going to work now. Like, I get it. They got a lot of free stuff. I don't think it's that good. Light Sorrow. 4 mana, 1/4. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, gain +1 attack. I don't think this card is that bad in and of itself if you have enough Divine Shield things out there, and this weapon can chill out there long enough for you to actually get it buffed up significantly to a point to where it's strong. I just feel like there's enough weapon removal in the game where this card is going to just be wiped out before you get to realize all of its value. Maybe its value is the fact that if they kill this, they're not killing your Ashbringer or your, I don't know, super Ashbringer that you get from Uther the Ebon Blade. So that's something. Bloodrazor, 4 mana, 2/2, Battlecry and Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all minions. This is a really, really, really good card. Really good card. And it's really good not just in enraged decks, it's really good in practically every deck. It's a mini swipe twice. As a warrior, do you want mini swipes twice? Yes, you do. Voodoo Hexer, 5 mana, 2/7, taunt, freeze any character damaged by this minion. Well, if you're lucky enough to slam Morabi behind this guy, you can swing it in, and you can get some extra minions. Could this work? Nope, too much setup. But is this a good card? Yeah, actually it is. Freezing your opponents that are characters that are damaged by this minion effectively kills them for 1 turn. That's actually really good for a 5-cost card. I think this card will see a significant amount of play in a lot of decks, and actually especially in token decks, weirdly enough, because this will protect your tokens and allow them to keep swinging. Venomancer, 5 mana, 2/5, poisonous. We already saw a 6 mana, 2/8 legendary Maexna that had the same effect. That card was poop, so this card is poop. Tomb Lurker, 5 mana, 5/3, Battlecry, add a random Death Rattle minion that died this game to your hand. I think this card is actually a little bit better than people think because you can get your opponent's Death Rattles. It's a 5 mana, 5/3, which isn't that good stat-wise, but you're getting a value for it, so it immediately cycles itself in that sense. I don't know. I think this card could have applications, especially in a deck that wants to get a lot of Death Rattles. It's worth looking at. 5 mana might be too much, but hey, you know what? I might have worse things to do with my mana. Sunborn Valkyr, 5 mana, 5/4, Battlecry, give adjacent minions +2 health. I love this effect. I love this idea. If you cobble the stats together, you're getting a 5 mana, 5/8. But it does require you to have other things on the board. But the nice part about this card is it might allow you to make 2 really good trades that you would not have been able to make before. It's very good in a token-style deck. It's very good in something that wants to swarm the board. And it's aggressively statted. Yeah, it has the stats of a 4-drop, but it's still aggressively statted. I actually really like this card, and I think it actually will see play. But the other thing, too, it's common. This is another very good common card. You could make pretty good decks with just commons and rares. And so budget players, weirdly enough, have a lot of tools to make pretty viable decks. Here's another good card. Skelemancer, 5 mana, 2/2, Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, summon an 8/8 skeleton. Wow, they really are not going to want to flame strike your board now. Now, here is another good treachery target. Right? You play this, your opponent's like, ooh, I can't kill that. You treachery it, you kill it, you get an 8/8! I could have had a V8! I think this card is actually going to be pretty good and actually going to see a significant amount of play. You know, just being able to manipulate this to get yourself an 8/8 is pretty strong. Fate Spinner, 5 mana, 5/3, choose a death rattle secretly. Deal 3 damage to all minions and get them +2/+2. This will basically be the Druid board wipe. It's a slow board wipe, but it's a board wipe. I actually don't think you're going to see it in token decks because I think it's actually too slow. But I think it's basically going to be 5 mana, 5/3, get a board wipe on a later turn. But neat card, and it's death rattle, comes back when it's off. I think. Maybe not. It may not come back when it is off. Don't quote me on that. Despicable Dreadlord, 5 mana, 4/5. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. Good card. Good, solid card. Pretty good effect. Probably won't see play. May not be strong enough. Yeah. Death Revenant, 5 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each den minion. Poop, 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 poop. It's stats on a stick. It's not that good. Yes, it's not that hard to damage a lot of minions. Yes, it's all minions. So if you had 5 minions on the board and then you whirlwinded and then you played this, you're getting a 5 mana 8/8. 5 mana 8/8. That seems really good. Oh, are there other cards that are 5 mana 8/8s? Oh yeah, they're Tide Hydra. Why don't I just play that instead? Corpse Widow, 5 mana 4/6 Beast. Your Death Rattle cards cost 2 less. It's a Hunter card. They're really pushing Death Rattle Hunter. So the good news is you can dump your hand if you got a bunch of cheap Death Rattle things. You can play this and a Loot Hoarder and a Kindly Grandmother all for 5 mana. That's pretty darn good. That's a lot of stats. That's a lot of shit that when it dies, you get shit back. You can play this High Main and a Secret. You can play this High Main and a Kindly Grandmother and another 2-drop. Pretty good. Pretty good. It has to live. If it lives, it's good. If it dies, it sucks. But if your opponent is sinking 6 damage into this thing, that's not so bad either. And it's a 5-drop, and traditionally, Hunter has had relatively weak 5-drops. This will be another good card that'll be good in conjunction with Princess Huhuran and Tarrasque Stalker and the Play Dead, because you can play this, get a bunch of Death Rattles out, play those cards, trigger your Death Rattles, hooray. Loot Hoarder in a deck like this is going to be really powerful because you're going to play it and trigger it and then trigger it again, and you're going to get you're going to try to get 2 card draws, maybe even 3 out of this damn thing. So Corpse Widow I think is a good card in a deck that may not be strong enough, but might be good. Corpse Raiser, 5 mana, 3/3, Battlecry, give a friendly minion Death Rattle, re-summon this minion. So this is why I think Desperate Stand is not that good, because this card exists, and I can just get the whole minion back instead of the minion with 1 health. Now I realize it's 2 mana, which is 3 mana cheaper, and it's a spell, so it counts towards the quest, but I would just rather play this card. I'm very hyped about this card, because in Shaman, it already had pretty strong applications, but it didn't see a lot of play because it was just a spell. This gives you a body as well, plus you can play it on something that has initiative, and then trade it in and get the effect immediately, and get that minion effectively getting that minion back. And there's a lot of good Death Rattle cards, and a lot of good Taunt cards, and things like that you would want to play this card in that aren't in Shaman. I actually think it was relatively wasted in Shaman. Whereas with this card, in other good classes, this card is going to be insane. Plus, it's a rare. Another very good budget card. Speaking of good budget cards, Cobalt Scalebane! 5 mana, 5/5. At the end of your turn, give another random friendly minion +3 attack. Yes! This buffs your eggs. Your eggs become threats. It turns things into threats. It's very good in a token deck. It's very good in a Death Rattle deck. It's very good in a Dragon deck. Will this card see a significant amount of play? Probably not. It's still only a 5 mana, 5/5. But I can see it having a lot of applications. Bone Baron, 5 mana, 5/5 Death Rattle. Add 2/1/1 skeletons to your hand. So good in a Miracle style rogue? Maybe, but they're not spells. They're minions. Good for activating combos. Gives you more stuff. I don't know. A little underwhelming. But it's a death rattle. Maybe it just works in Rogue. 5 mana, 1/7 Divine Shield. After friendly minions Divine Shield, gain +2 attack. It's Bolvar, the Fireblood. This card isn't total crap. It's just its setup is too much for me to think that it's going to be good. But it's only a 5 mana card, so it's not that bad. You know, if you just kind of need to play, here you go. It's Bolvar. He's so hot right now. Bloodworm, 5 mana, 4/4, beast with lifesteal. I'm glad they finally made something that has lifesteal that's common, that you can just play. It'll be pretty good in Arena. It's pretty good for activating the lifesteal thing on the Corpse Taker. It's a beast, so it can be buffed by Houndmaster. I don't know. There's applications to this card, but I think they are significantly overvaluing how good lifesteal is. Blood Queen Lanathel. 5 mana, 1/6 legendary lifesteal. Has +1 attack for each card you discarded this game. I've already talked about this card and how difficult it is to set this up and how difficult it is to actually get it to go off. The nice part is, though, it can be buffed post-play. So I think its real strength is just playing it and then discarding stuff and getting the buff on it later on. That way you don't run the risk of discarding it while it's in your hand. So 5 mana, 3/6 with lifesteal is not bad. I just don't think it's that good. It's a legendary. It should do more stuff. So, yeah. Web Weave, 5 mana, Druid card. Summon 2, 1/2 poisonous spiders. Underwhelming, but apparently was OP on 4 mana, which I could actually see. On 5 mana, it's too expensive in multiplayer. Being able to stunt your opponent's 5-drops when they don't really have a lot of mana to work with, forcing them to remove 1/2 spiders is strong. Stunting your opponent's 6-drop when they have 6 mana to work with, they could remove your spiders and still play 4-drops and 2-drops. That's why it's not that good. Spreading Plague, another card that seemed good but actually isn't that good. Summon a 1/5 Scarab with Taunt. If your opponent has more minions, cast this again. So it's not Unleash the Scarabs. It's not just one for every one of your opponents. All it does is matches the number of minions your opponent has with Scarabs. So you have to have an empty board to actually get a lot of value out of this card. That's why this card sucks. Devour Mind. Copy 3 cards in your opponent's deck, add them to your hand. So it's Nourish for priests. I actually think this will be pretty good in a steal your stuff style super value priest. Because sometimes you're just hanging mana anyway, so you might as well draw some cards and get some stuff and maybe do something. Yeah, pretty much. Thrall Deathseer. It's a Death Knight. It's 5 mana. It's the first one because it's the cheapest. Transform your minions into random ones that cost 2 more. And the hero power becomes transform target minion into something that costs 1 more. So, love this card. I think it's very strong. I think it's the 3rd best legendary overall and probably the 2nd best Death Knight. My only concern is that you lose your totem hero power, and hence you're not able to make totems and then evolve them. But who gives a shit, because you've already made a giant board. Token Shaman is already good, and this will easily slot into Token Shaman, bringing it to tier 1 status, even though it already is tier 1. Spellweaver, 6 mana, 4/4, spell damage +2. Poop, 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 poop. If I'm playing this card, I'm playing it to get the spell damage, but then it'll leave me 4 mana left over to do stuff with it. I don't give a shit if the body is more durable. Blizzard, spell damage is not that strong. You're flipping out over nothing. Make this a 5 mana card. Spectral Pillager, 6 mana, 5/5 combo, deal damage equal to the number of other cards you've played this turn. Poop, 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 poop. So this card does not count itself in the combo, which means you play 1 card, you play this card, and you deal 1 damage, not 2. Poop, 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 Skulk and Geist, 6 mana 4/6, Battlecry, destroy all 1-cost spells in both hands and decks. It's the Jade Idol counter. It's the Power Word Shield Destroyer, the Hallucination Destroyer, the Secret Destroyers and Paladin. I don't know. It's a tech card. It's the really good tech card against Jade Druid. So, yeah. Will it see play? Yeah. Ruby Unraveler, 6 mana 5/5. Spells cost 2 more. Your own spells cost 2 more. So this card is poop and won't see play. Necrotic Geist. Whenever one of your other minions dies, summon a 2/2 ghoul. It's another 6 mana card that's poopy. I think they're trying to debuff Evolve Shaman a little bit by playing some of these cards. Man, the stats are terrible. But you get ghouls. It's not bad. Maybe there's some sort of token thing I can think of to play with this, but Soul of the Forest is probably better than this, right? Murabi. 6 mana 4/4. Whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to your hand. Well, this is the big freezy dude. You get a lot of value. But don't we already have Spirit Echo? I could steal my opponent's minions. Sort of. I get copies of the cards. This seems a bit underwhelming to me. This is like the big freeze dude. And this is the thing. It's supposed to make freeze shaman work. I don't think it does. I don't think it's going to be good. Furnace Fire Colossus. 6 mana 6/6 Battlecry. Discard all weapons from your hand and gain their stats. How many weapons do I have? Do I want to throw to this guy? I mean, it'd be nice to make him a big old stat pile. Throw in a Fiery War Axe and he becomes a 9/8. Throw in an Arcanite Reaper, he becomes an 11/8. Yeah. I don't know. Throw in a Light's Justice, he becomes a 7/10. Oh, that's pretty good. Who plays Light's Justice, though? Nah. Not a bad card. Probably good in Arena. Probably not seeing play. Bone Drake. 6 mana 6/5 Dragon. Death Rattle. Add a random dragon to your hand. Look, it's a rare. It's a dragon. It supports other. It gives you other dragons. Gonna be good in a dragon deck. This and Cobalt Scalebane. I think it's a good card. It's a slow card, but I do think it's a good card. It reminds me a little bit of Aya Blackpaw. You know, 6 mana card, somewhat understated, but Death Rattle gives you a really good card, or gives you a really good effect. Aya gives you an on-board effect, though. This card does not. So there are benefits to getting the card, battle cries, etc. There are disadvantages to getting the card, i.e. loss of tempo. Blackguard, 6 mana 3/9. Whenever a hero is healed, deal that much damage to a random enemy minion. Will be really great in a control style Healy Paladin, but other than that, will not see play in pretty much any other deck. Stat line is really weird. It's really strong. It's gonna live. You can heal, but it only takes effect when your hero is healed. I don't know how much play that's gonna see. Shadow Essence, that's the card. It's a priest card. Summon a 5/5 copy of a random minion in your deck. Hopefully you have some really good Death Rattles that you want to get again. Hopefully when it dies, you resurrect it with Eternal Servitude. Better than Barnes, but it costs 6 mana. I don't know. Could be good. Could be maybe just not quite powerful enough. Embrace the Darkness. 6 mana, choose an enemy minion at the start of your turn, gain control of them. Man, Priest has some expensive ass shit. I have said that this card is better than people think it is, and I still believe that. I still believe that in most situations that you cast this card, you're either just forcing your opponent to kill its own stuff, or you're going to get a somewhat damaged minion. That's okay. Or you're going to take a little bit of face damage, you're going to get a minion. That's okay too. Like, I think this card is actually, it's not spectacular, but for its mana cost and its effect, I think it's pretty good, and I think it actually will see some play. BACHATA, our next Death Knight. 6 mana, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions, gain 5 armor, and then Zombeast it up. I hope this card is good. I think what I like about this card is you can just throw it into like a Tempo Hunter deck, and then it's fine. And then you're just getting beasts over and over and over again, and you're just slamming beasts. Yeah, you don't have the hero power, but you don't necessarily need it. This is not a card you build around. This is a card you just throw in, and you say, cool, give me a bunch of beasts. And that's what I like about it. Bone Mare, the ultimate arena card, 7 mana, 5/5. Battlecry, give a friendly minion +4/+4 and taunt. So it's Blessing of Kings and taunt, which theoretically could be worth about 5 mana, so you're getting a 2 mana 5/5. If you value that at 4 mana, you're still getting a 3 mana 5/5. Yes, it's all bundled up into one card. Yes, it costs 7 mana. I think this card is quite good. I think it could actually pretty easily see constructed play, and it's a common. It'll fit in a bunch of decks spectacularly, and it will destroy people in Arena. Archbishop Benedict, 7 mana, 4/6, legendary priest card. Battlecry, shuffle a copy of your opponent's deck into your deck. No more fatigue, no more fatigue. Like priests ever went to fatigue anyway. I mean, they kind of did, more than most classes. I cannot wait to make the Brewmaster Benedictus deck, coining it now, and just getting a 99 card deck and going to town. And making a super duper draw heavy priest deck that never runs out of cards and always has 10 cards in its hand and starts playing with its opponent's deck. Is this card actually good? Probably not. This effect is ridiculous, but it's probably not that good. Because you're getting a 7 mana 4/6, which doesn't really impact the board. But, like I said, hey, I get to play with my opponent's stuff. I only think this would be good if I had a very draw-heavy deck so I could actually draw enough of the cards to really make it worth it. But, hey, deck builders of the world, get on it. Abominable Bowman, a 7 mana 6/7, Death Rattle, summon a friendly beast that died this game. Slow as hell. It's a Death Rattle. Maybe play dead with this card. Maybe Hoo-Hoo on this card. I don't know. There's a lot of beasts. The potential of you getting a 1/1 is pretty high. So you're going to have to do some deck construction around this card, and I don't think this card is worth constructing a deck around. Malfurion the Pestilent, our third Death Knight. 7 mana, choose 1, summon 2 poisonous spiders or 2 scares with taunt, and then your hero power becomes Plague Lord, which is get 3 attack or get 3 armor, and it's a choose 1 effect. And I think this card is actually surprisingly good and surprisingly strong, even though the effects don't seem that good. Thematically, it's awesome, but you can just toss this into any fucking druid deck that's not aggro druid. Any sort of ramp druid, big easy druid, just throw it in. Why not? It's basically a 7-cost minion. You know, you can innervate this out and you get a lot of value out of it. You know, if you ramp into this and wild growth this and play this on turn 3 or turn 4, and then you can realize the value way earlier than most of the other Death Knights, and that makes it really strong, really powerful. Dun, 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 the Lich King Arthas, 8 mana, 8/8 taunt. At the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. So already, people are calling this Dr. 8, and goddammit, I want to go against the tide. I really do. I want to be a contrarian. I cannot. This card is 6/6/6/6, ridiculous. Death Knight cards are most of them are pretty darn good. So most of the time, you're going to high roll into something that's really great. If this sticks around multiple turns, you get multiple cards. It's already an 8/8 taunt body, so it already just stonewalls your opponent. And even if it dies on the turn that you play it, you still get the Death Knight card. It can't be bad. You might as well play it in all decks. All decks that aren't aggro. Sindragosa, 8 mana, 8/8. Battlecry, summon 2/01 frozen champions that give you random legendaries. when they die. So this would suck in most classes, but it's a mage card. So a Dragon N'Zoth Frostlich Jaina mage deck, could that work? Well, yeah, I think it could, and I'm going to try it. And being able to ping off your frozen champions and get water elementals that have lifesteal, whoa, that's pretty good. That's going to be really hard to combat. So if you can make it to the late game, this is going to be a really good card. Rotface, 8 mana, 4/6, warrior legendary. When this minion survives damage, summon a random legendary minion. Better now that I've seen the new warrior Death Knight dude that gives whirlwind effects, and there are more whirlwind effects in the game. Still, it's 8 mana, and even on the reveal stream when they got off a couple of shots, you were getting 5/4s and 4/4s and 3/3s, and and this guy has to survive damage. If it gets hit and dies, it just dies. I don't know. I just underwhelmed. I think it could be good. I think it could high roll. The high roll potential of this card is off the charts. I just question whether it's going to actually be good. Glacial Mysteries, 8 mana. Put one of each secret from your deck into the battlefield. Poop, 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 poop. Shadow Ripper Anduin. It's another Death Knight. 8 mana. Battlecry. Destroy all minions with 5 or more attack. And then you get Void Form, which is deal 2 damage, and then play a card and deal, and then refresh your hero power. Awesome. Love this card. I think it's going to be really good. Really good. It reminds me kind of like Taunt Warrior, where basically it's like heal, taunt, defensive, and then you just flip the switch and say, fuck you, I'm coming after you. And that's what this card does, and that's why I really like it. Scourge Lord Gerash, 8 mana. Battlecry, equip a 4/3 Shadowmourne that also damages adjacent minions, and then the battle you get a whirlwind effect as your hero power. I like the Shadowmourne. I don't really like this hero power. I think it's the worst hero power that you could change into. I think it's worse than your actual armor up. I think it's worse than obviously it's worse than the fuck, I don't even know what it's called. Whatever, the Ragnaros effect. It's worse than the Ragnaros effect. And at that point in the game, is dealing 1 damage to your opponent's minions that good? Is dealing 1 damage to your minions that good? You're probably out of enrage effects at this point. You're going to have to really draw a lot of shit. And to be honest, enrage decks have never quite been that good. And yes, they've gotten a lot of support, but why is that the direction Blizzard wants to go? I thought they wanted to taunt stuff. Is this going to fit into Taunt Warrior? Actually, maybe. This would be kind of neat if you played this and then played Sulfuris. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe this slots into a Taunt Warrior deck. Who knows? Obsidian Statue, 9 mana, 4/8, Priest card, Taunt, Lifesteal, Death Rattle, destroy random enemy minion. Man, that's a lot of shit. Man, this card is big and slow. Man, this card is awesome if gotten off of Eternal Servitude or off of Barnes. Yeah. This card is worth having in your deck, but playing it for 9 mana is probably not that good. This is definitely a card you're going to want to cheat out, but guess what? Priest has a lot of ways to cheat things out. You know, maybe you play Yashiraj, and then this draws from Yashiraj. Hey, opponent, fuck you. You just lost. Hadrox, 9 mana, 3/7, legendary druid card, Death Rattle, summon your taunt minions that died this game. It's a Death Rattle! It's too slow! 9 mana! Have to kill something with 7 health on your own board! Not good. Boop, 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 boop. Believe the Hollow. It's a Death Knight. 9 mana, Battlecry, gain Stealth 2 next turn, and then your hero power becomes a passive hero power which copies any card you played during the turn. So unfortunately, you don't get to keep the copy from last turn. So it just goes away, which makes this card significantly worse. Which means you got to pull off whatever fucking ninja thing you're trying to do on the very turn that you did it. Which means you probably can't cast a spell that's more than 5 mana, because the copy that you get you won't be able to play, which makes this card even worse. Which means I don't think this card actually has very good applications in that sense, and I actually don't think it's that good, and I'm underwhelmed completely by this card when I'm seeing it. Until I thought of the OTK combo. South Sea Deckhand. Cold Blood, Cold Blood, Cold Blood, Faceless Manipulator. 9 mana. 28 damage. Yeah. That's where I think this card is actually good. I don't give a shit about long-term value style, value rogue. No. Fuck that. Valyria the Hollow is basically Rogue's Alexstrasza. They play this, then they play the combo, and they kill you. So in a draw-heavy, super control-y, defensive style rogue, that OTKs you. That's where this card comes in. That's where this card's application truly happens. Uther of the Ebon Blade, my #1 legendary of the set. Spoilers! 9 mana, Battlecry, equip a 5/3 lifesteal weapon. Holy crap. And then your hero power becomes get 2/2 horsemen. And then if you ever have 4 horsemen on the board, you auto win the game. I've already talked about this card enough. I think it's fantastic. I think it is the best card in the set. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Frostlich Jaina. 9 mana, Battlecry, summon a 3/6 water elemental. Your elementals have lifesteal this game, and then your hero power becomes deal 1 damage. Summon a water elemental if this kills something. So you're going to get repeated elementals over and over and over again, which means you don't necessarily need to make an elemental-centric deck. You could just have a few key elementals that have survivability in the late game. Then you play this, you give them lifesteal, you heal all the way back up, you gain the 5 armor. Potentially you're healing for upwards of 10, 15 health on turn 9. And then you're also getting the grind out effect. You've also got Sindragosa. I think this will be a key staple in a very value-oriented mage deck. And Ultimate Infestation. 10 mana, Druid card, deal 5 damage, draw 5 cards, gain 5 armor, summon a 5/5 ghoul, 5/5/5/5/5/5. How could this card be bad? It just costs 10 mana. That's the only thing that's wrong with it. But if you're playing a ramp druid, you could get this out on turn 7, turn 6. Great. And you're drawing 5 cards. Maybe this replaces Auctioneer. Maybe this replaces a Nourish. Maybe not. Maybe you're nourishing for crystals way more now, because you know that you can draw into this card and get your card draw back. Drawing 5 cards would probably be worth 10 mana anyway, or like 9 mana. And so for 1 additional mana, I'm getting 5 damage, 5 armor, and a 5/5 ghoul. The value of this card is insane. I think it's awesome. I think it's the second... Well, it's probably the most powerful card in the set. It's probably the top 5 best card in the set. So that's it. Thank you for watching the card review. I appreciate you going through all this with me. I tried to knock it out as fast as I could. Hopefully I got it in under 2 hours. Yeah, Knights of the Frozen Throne, man. Let's do it. Keep learning, keep rocking in the Rockstar. I'll see you later. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you want to see the newest videos, you can click here. If you want to see a recommended playlist, you can click here. And if you'd like to subscribe, you can click right here. Thank you so much, guys. Keep learning, keep rocking. The Rockstar will see you later.